At the Prehistoric reviews, there you take a look at the Marvels. Currently, Marvel's like biggest like flop as of like right now. It has suffered the suffered a lot in the theaters, and I saw it out through any means. Like I didn't actually went to see it in theaters. I found my own way of viewing it, and what I understand as to why it flopped in the box office, it it's not the worst film I saw. So let me explain a little bit and as well as just review the whole thing. This film is pretty fun, and it doesn't feel like it was a forced girl superheroes get it done, like what they more trying to do in like Endgame. Each of them, of like from Carol Danvers to Monica Rambeau to Kamala Khan, all very much have a very much likability. Like even Captain Marvel to a certain degree, I think her in this film is a lot more, is a little bit more better than her solo film with it, because at least now she has like to force to interact and actually team up with people rather than have to sorry rather than having to do anything that that she would have to do solo. She now has to like be with a team forcibly and a lot of the dynamics of between the three of them are very much natural. I'll explain this a little bit better when I get to the characters, but I want to get some of my criticisms out of the way first with this film. The first glaring issue that I very much saw when I was watching it is that it felt short. Like it felt really, really short. Like it's an hour and 45-minute movie, which apparently it was like the shortest Marvel film that they have put out yet. But it goes through everything like very fast. Like there's no divulging B plot or like any other like side stuff that they very much get to do. Like almost everything is just straight to the plot of defeating their villain Dara Ben, which I is also the other next criticism I have. Dara Ben is literally the most boringest villain the MCU has probably ever put in. Even in the comics, it was also even I was told by other people that Dara Ben is literally the lowest class of like villains ever out there. Like not even the comics, they're even better. But I feel like that like the thing is, Dara Ben is like she had the potential to be a villain, but like she has the sympathetic motive as to why she very much hates Captain Marvel, but very much her character and like her personality and everything about her is just really weak. Like it's not very strong. It's about as strong as like just paper, and she's not all that interesting to just like be around. She's not interesting, just to like hear listen and monologue. Like all of her scenes are just very much boring. The only time where she even like I very much get excited was like when the Marvels were literally just like fighting against her, which the choreography was I think was like a lot was like good in this film. I think like holding like swapping, even despite that sometimes the swapping goes against the rules of what it's meant to be. I think the swapping very much is a fun aspect that they very much do, and how they very much defeat the villain and all that. I think it was like very nice. Dara Ben, she's honestly very forgettable and honestly the weakest parts in the movie, and that's not even going over the other stuff that's very much also like the kind of just off things that are like in this film. Another problem with it is that it has a bit of a hard time to try and balance out what it very much wants tone wise, which can cause some like characters like Nick Fury to act out a little bit out of character, because like him being funny and like this, it's like Samuel Jackson. I don't mind that. Maybe it's because it's like he's very much like this with like Carol Danvers, and because they both have a personal history with one another, and I guess so. But this is like timeline wise, even for like his show Secret Invasion, it doesn't fit anywhere with like with like this movie, and like and even it even has like a whole thing that was like also kind of loosely tied within Secret Invasion that made Secret Invasion feel so completely pointless. Like it felt really, really pointless in so many ways that it just kind of confused me a lot. And I don't know whether or not it was just because he very much is much more comfortable with Carol Danvers because they have a history with one another that he very much acts like this. But I didn't mind it for the most part. But it now that I do just kind of like do think about it, it very much feels a bit off. Like Samuel Jackson's funny. Like don't get me wrong, he's a very funny guy. But timeline wise, this it feels like it does not. It's not like adding up or something like that. You can understand what I mean. The constant like switching of tones is like messy, and it's fun when you can embrace it. But it feels like you're constantly swapping from one scene to the next, which also doesn't help due to how short and like fast that this film very much goes. It's also especially the case with like a planet that they go to, where the inhabitants, like form of like their only form of like communication is through just like singing, and they very much the Marvels go to this planet specifically because like that's the next place where like the villain's going to attack, and they have to warn everybody about this, prepare them for like war, and they all very much are constantly singing, and I didn't mind it. Like I thought it was like whatever, but it's very much weird because this doesn't go full in depth as to why Carol very much is with these, knows this planet, is familiar with this planet, and is very much knows why. Like it never almost gets to explain. Like even the prince as well, they don't explain him much more in depth. He's honestly the most flattest character out of everybody because it doesn't do a whole lot except just like exist and be there because he's a hot prince or whatever. Because this is literally meant to be like at a point, but they're like in imminent danger, and it feels weirdly off and all that. Like I guess it was meant to be a little bit silly, or like they were trying to give like a unique idea, but I really don't I really don't know. Like it just feels like it's all over the place with like what it very much wants to be. The last two things of it is the humor of the film. I think subjective wise, it's like hit or miss. You'll probably like find some jokes in it to be very funny, others ones that like they're just like very hit or miss, which was kind of just like my impression of it. Like is like I didn't laugh out loud, but I did chuckle for like some things. But the other, I guess, last one is actually with Kamala's family. Now I have watched Miss Marvel, so I was already familiar with them. I very much like the show. But in this film, they don't do a whole heck of a lot. Like, all except for just, like, cheering on, like, on Kamala and, like, being there to support her. They don't do a whole lot in this film. In fact, even when they're, like, very much, like, from their home, like, taken up to, like, Saber, they really don't do a whole lot except kind of just, like, exist from, like, one there to another there, which was, I kind of was thought disappointing because I originally like thought that her family wasn't going to be in the film for as long as I thought they were, because I thought that they were probably only going to be in the beginning and probably not show up until like the end, and the whole middle we don't see them, and that's what I initially thought. And I guess they were trying to give them something to do, but there was almost barely anything that they would have done. They kind of also like brought in two roles help with like Kamal's like her history, giving what she's like all about, what her family's all about, why why we have the Pakistani family in this film, which leads on to actually the characters, and not to say that the Kamala family, like Kamal's family, is bad or anything. They are very, very sweet characters. I really like them in Miss Marvel, and I think in this film, I think they were kind of like done a little bit dirty, like because they were like given like literally nothing to do except to just cheer on Kamala. But that's really about it. On to some of the positives. I think they did Captain Marvel's character a bit better on here than her solo film, as I have already said. In here, she realizes that the two duality that happens with her like hero persona, and very much in other places, and being a villain in other places as well, which is reflected with her team, with like Monica being someone who has a difficult relationship with Carol and Kamala being her number one fangirl, looks up to her. Carol very much has to very much kind of like figure that out, and very much essentially has to battle like two of it, like you know be the hero for once or always live to be a villain in like some people's eyes. And I feel like they did a little bit better with that for it. It's not very much like said or like very much shown to it, but it's very much like all imply, which at least I tried to look into it when watching the film. So she's a lot more better here than her solo film. Monica Monica is more or less the middleman for Carol and Kamala, and while she does have some development during the film, as in like trying to like mend her troubled relationship with Carol, she also has like trust herself and her team to help one another, and not take like a shortcut with using her powers and very much stick it to like the road because she didn't ask for powers. And like I said, it's hard to say that she didn't go through a character development because she did, but there's not very much with her that the film very much tries and like does. Like she very much feels like she only was like brought in just to only mend her relationship with Carol, and it seemed to be like that's about it with Monica. She does something very much important by the end, but it very much feels like that she wasn't exactly like her character was like falling very flat. Like I wanted very much to find some things within her, but like the film feels like it wasn't like allowing that like at all. You could probably you could probably understand why I say that she was the middleman because like it's not nothing against her, but I think this film's portrayal of her feels very very like it feels very dirty. The last one that I think everybody has most agreed upon when watching the Marvels film is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. She was honestly very fun and had a really nice time and a very fun time with her. And very much seeing her on the big screen was very good. Like she very much like I think Amani Villani very much found a perfect way of balancing out a comedic character to being someone who very much has to be a superhero because now that she's with like the big leagues of like of like superheroes, she very much has to very much like still have like her intact idol for the most part, but also very much learn that you know Captain Marvel's a person. She's very much a person that can't very much screw up, and she very much has to let go of that like that kind of like fanboy type of thing to very much learn to interact human wise and not just like fangirl wise, which I think it's very much good because everybody very much loved Kamala Khan and I very much do. I was super worried that a lot of people would not like her in this film, but I am glad that a lot of people very much do love Amani Villani. And although like she's not the like the biggest carry of like the film, she very much is like the heart of it. Though I don't think that for like a film like this, it translated well into theaters because this very much feels like the most safest superhero movie ever. Like it very much just has no like side plots. It very much goes straight into a very simple plot that they very much do, and that's mainly like all like there is to it. Uh, all the criticism even going by, like it very much just like again it has a very weak plot. It's so short where it felt like it was going by way too fast. Their tone like is just very messy. They have very flat jokes and it's a generic villain. And the thing is, it's a fun film to watch at home, but it's not exactly great for theaters because it felt like it was just. It very much felt like it was just like like a home movie rather than just like a movie that should have been in theaters, which I think is why is like a lot of people are just not interesting to it. Even I didn't think that the Marvels like trailer was as interesting to it because it felt like it was not offering something completely like new. So that's what was about it. There's like a lot more negatives of this film than there are some positives about it. So If you very much are going into this film expecting like something good to happen, something amazing, then I don't think you're going to like it. But if you very much just want to sit down and listen to just like watch like a film about superheroes for just like an hour and 45 minutes, then you got that. You very much have that. You can very much spend your time with that. And if you find yourself enjoying it, you'll enjoy it. But as for me and giving this like a rating, I'm putting this at a 50%. It's fun. Uh, it's a fun superhero film. It's has very much good character moments, but don't go into this thinking that it's anything like a very good superhero movie, because it's it's all right at best, but like I think it's no surprise as to why it did bomb at the box office. But I still do like Miss Marvel. Anyways, that's about it. That's a review. Bye bye.